it. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them I sent you. Great people. Expanding business. Happy birthday, by the way, to Damon, the owner of Pig in a Pickle. But we are off and running. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. Even though we're off and running, I said that, but now I'm looking down and I'm like, you know what? You're off and running so much that you have the wrong thing up there. There we go. This isn't KMBR's Niners Nightly. This is the Krug Show, brought to you by Sleeper. And we can go with that one. We can go with this one. It has the light. That's kind of a nice little white. We can see that above his head there. But welcome to the Krug Show. We'll tell you all about Sleeper. Thanks to Sleeper. God bless Sleeper. I love my family, but I love Sleeper more. But anyway, welcome to the Krug Show. Sterling, always good to see you. The great Sterling Bennett, 95.7 the game, Niner coverage. I'm not giving you the proper intro, but you know why? Because I'm hunting around. Yeah, because basically here we go.
There you go.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, you almost got me
really
fired
bad
there being on Niners Nightly.
I know, seriously. What happened to Sterling at 95.7? Oh, he got bounced.
Gone.
Goodbye.
Yeah, for a new job. Like, hey, Larry, you got to hook me up now at the job. You got me fired from over there.
God, we got so many different little sound bites. I never use any of these.
Wow.
Why don't I use that like every time I'm changing the subject tonight? Every time there's a new subject.
It'll get your attention for sure.
I mean, if you're editing the show, you're trying to help some guy. I'm going to make it real easy and obvious where we're going to start a new topic. Sterling, before we get to our next topic, we're going to try it. We're going to try it. I don't use sound effects enough. I got to use more sound effects. But welcome to the Krug Show. We're going to rebuild the Niners on a Thursday night. Sterling's here. We have great streams on Thursday night. Thursday nights are great nights to stream. It's just a great night to talk sports, whether it be on the radio, wherever. I don't know why. Just get that one day coming up till the weekend. Thursday night, you're like almost there at the weekend. I don't know. It's something about Thursday nights I've always liked. So we're off and running here, and I'm going to let you go first. But there's the atmosphere or the talk around the 49ers is a lot of go get Max Crosby, go get Justin Jefferson, go get this guy, go get that guy. I'm immediately, you know me, I push back on that because I'm just like, I want to believe. I'd love to be a one player away. I just don't really believe in my heart of hearts they're one player away. I don't think that's the right time at all for some big veteran swing. And I definitely don't think it's right to go back and have all the sentimentality, bring back Armstead and Hargrave and Greenlaw and Deebo. No. Don't bring back the old guys. I think you got to do this in the draft. I don't think there's any. You've tried your shortcuts. You have the head coach and you have the quarterback. So a lot of teams never get there. You've got that. So now go build up the rest of it. It shouldn't be daunting. Seattle's going to be paying big money extensions to Devin Witherspoon and JSN and others. So their cap room will be usurped before long. It's a cap sport. Just go out there and draft well and build this thing up. But then there's the trade market. And the one thing about Jefferson that's interesting is there's a lot of talk that Sterling that he would maybe like to play with the quarterback he's played with, Sam Darnold. And what if Justin Jefferson paired up with JSN? With that defense in Seattle, you and I could be the running backs, and they might be able to win. I mean, that's going to be a very, very scary thing. So if you're the 49ers, I think you got to be in the deal flow on Justin Jefferson and at least close to it. You got to either be in that thing or make sure he doesn't go to Seattle somehow. If he gets to Seattle, that's a really, really bad thing. And if he does get to Seattle, I think the 49ers really have to be aggressive about what they do on defense, in the secondary. They got to invest in a true number one corner. You saw on Super Bowl Sunday what Christian Gonzalez, a true number one corner, looks like, and the 49ers don't have that player. So, a Christian Gonzalez would be a really nice thing for the 49ers to add. The Patriots didn't win, but it wasn't because of Christian Gonzalez, right? Christian Gonzalez did an amazing job and was fantastic. So Niners may have to, if Jefferson and JSN are getting together, the Niners may have to, react to that by going after either D linemen that can get to the quarterback and really hit Darnold. But they got to build up that back level. That coverage has got to be way better, and corners got to be a major investment.
Yeah, not to bury the lead here, but I don't see San Francisco making one of these splash trades this offseason. Whether it's Max Crosby or Justin Jefferson, I don't think San Francisco is equipped like other teams, say the Rams, say the Dallas Cowboys, say the Seattle Seahawks, that are one player away, but also have, whether it's high-end picks or a ton of money that can help acquire these players. I think San Francisco needs to be in the more the merrier conversation. It isn't always exactly how much you spend, it's how you spend it. And I think San Francisco needs to be very particular in how they spend their money this offseason, or who they trade or whatnot. But the way I view it is that this is actually a really great time to have the holes San Francisco has, whether it's wide receiver, edge rusher, interior pass rusher. The draft and free agency have plenty of players that can fill those holes for you, fill those roles for you. We'll probably get into more of that time, obviously, but I see online all the time a first round pick, and I see, Mac Jones and a second rounder for Justin Jefferson. I'm like, why would the Vikings even answer the phone? They're going to block your number after that offer.
Well, the one I saw today was Mac Jones, the Niners first round pick in 26, and the Niners second round pick in 27.
Right.
And if that were the deal, I think it's a high price, but it's a price that I would do, especially if I thought he was going to Seattle to pair up with JSN. I really think it's in your best interest not to see that.
So you would, in this case, you would say, I'll part ways with
Mac Jones,
which is fine. That doesn't bother me at all. But I'll part ways with the first round draft pick that could be a wide receiver. Granted, you're getting Jefferson back, so the need is gone. Just to simply block your opponent, you're kind of pulling a Cody Ross, if you will. Don't let the Padres get Cody Ross. You make sure you're the team that can benefit off the play of Jefferson. Obviously Jefferson will be awesome in San Francisco. I just don't think the Vikings want to part ways with him, knowing that they may have to get a new quarterback as early as this offseason with McCarthy out there, whether it's Cousins or let's say it is Mac Jones. Like, they view themselves not that far away, right? You have O'Connell, you have Flores, two of the best coaches in football, or at least somewhere up there. I don't think the Vikings view themselves as rebuilding. And if that's the case, I don't think they're going to part ways with their best offensive player, bar none.
Yeah. I mean, I once again, Matt Barrows is probably the guy that I listen to the most when it comes to the media. And he had a thing this week in his mailbag, and he's like, I don't think Minnesota's going to trade Justin Jefferson. So that was his point. And I'll go with him on that. I don't see why they would. It makes no sense. I understand why Niner fans would talk about it and why it's great, fodder. And he was at the Super Bowl. A lot of people, hey, Justin, you want to play for the Niners? I'm sure he got that 100 times over the course of the week. You're just going to get that. He was at Radio Row. There was lots of people around him. I guaranteed he was asked that question a bunch. But I just don't think Minnesota's gonna move him. So where would you start? Okay, we'll let you go first with your plan, and then I'll throw a plan out there as well. Where would you start with rebuilding this team? Do you have we've now had plenty of time to watch the season, do our due diligence on what happened, our autopsy on the season. We saw the playoffs. We saw them succeed in Philly. We saw them crash and burn in Seattle. We see who won the Super Bowl and where the league's going. Where would you begin to rebuild for 2026 if you're the 49ers?
I think
Or what's your theme, I guess, would be the question. What's the theme? What is your takeaway from this year? And like, what would be your theme going forward? Like, what do they need to do from where they've been?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say speed, right? You saw that Seattle game in the playoffs in week 18. Guys couldn't get open. They couldn't take the top off, and that was an issue for the offense as a whole. But I watched that Super Bowl, and a lot of the problems the Patriots had were a lot of the same ones San Francisco had. And yes, speed was a big problem. They didn't have a number 2 wide receiver. Stephon Diggs was getting locked up by that Seahawks defense. But I think a lot of it comes down to trenches and trying to protect your quarterback, but also getting to the quarterback. You look at what Drake May and how that game transpired. Yeah, he didn't play great for a lot of reasons, but a big one was he had his head on a swivel like every single snap. The interior pass rush of the Seattle Seahawks is tremendous. And if you want to be in the category of a contender alongside them, you have to protect Brock Purdy. You have to open lanes for Christian McCaffrey. Yes, you want to have speed on the outside. You find an X receiver, draft a couple of guys, get a backup tight end, all that, yes, for sure. But trenches, and trenches, once again, I think should be San Francisco's theme this offseason. Finding a legitimate left guard. I think you sign a guy, probably a veteran. I think you draft a guy too. You can never have too much depth on your interior. I think on the defensive side, you really, really, really have to find an interior defensive pass rusher to accompany Alfred Collins and CJ West. You're going to lose Clea Davis, maybe. You're going to lose Jordan Elliott for sure. I don't mind them spending some money on a guy like John Franklin Myers or a Logan Hall out of Tampa Bay last year. Maybe not those guys in particular, but I think you have to fortify your trenches on both sides, starting with the offensive line, then going to the defensive line, because if you can't protect the quarterback or get to the quarterback, you're not going to win football games in the NFL.
Yeah, no question. It's the year. I think it's the year to move back and invest in your offensive line early and get more picks and do it that way and supplement it through the free agency. There's a few guys. To me, I like, to me, a guy who I think is a great bargain is Nick Allegretti, who, I've had on the show before, but he's also plays for the Commanders now. He played for the Chiefs. Niners showed interest when he went to the Commanders. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a cap casualty. The Commanders are way over the cap. They're one of the 10 teams that are in real cap trouble. I don't know if you saw those numbers today, but that was kind of interesting. There was numbers out on which teams are really like screwed on the cap, and it's the Chiefs are 54. Almost 55 million, 54.9 million over the cap. Vikings are 49 million over the cap. Cowboys are 29 million over the cap. Dolphins are 16.4 million. Jacksonville's 11.4 million. Over the cap. I mean, these Lions, Bills, and Saints are all next in line. They're all over the cap. So you've got some teams that are going to lop off some players, and I do think Allegretti is one of those guys that could get lopped off. And he's got experience playing in the Super Bowl. He's smart. He's tough. He can play center. He can play guard. He can play either guard spot. That's the veteran I'd sign. He's cost effective. And then there's a couple guys. There's Brian Parker from Duke, who played right tackle for them. Brian Parker II. He's a really good center prospect. I really kind of like him. Keelan Rutledge from Georgia Tech. I really like him as well. All right, so you're the other thing. I mean, one thing that can, if you can't block that interior, and you can't run the ball, to me, it's like you got to do a couple things. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to block in the interior. So that's all kind of the same thing. You need more. I think you need a couple additional running backs. And I think you need some more dynamic receivers. I mean, the 49ers receivers are pretty not dynamic. They're not scary. They need to have some guys that are going to, be able to make some big plays down the field. And I think they're also going to decide what they're going to be, because there was very little run after the catch. That other thing that stood out, the 49ers have been a run after the catch team for years, multiple regimes. the Niners were really low on the run after the catch. Almost all of the movement in their offense is Brock Purdy driving the ball down the field. They're not getting lots of, run after the catch yardage. So, it's hard to have big plays when you don't have receivers that can get big plays or that can create big plays, and they just don't. They had one of the slowest receiving cores in football, and it just got slower once Ricky went out.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good transition into Jauan Jennings of what do you do with him, right? Because that is the big marquee free agent they have at wide receiver. And, I think me and you talked about this a couple of weeks ago of the hard cap seems to be around, 16 to $18 million per season, right? That seems like you don't want to go above that. And really, I think with the names out there, guys like Alec Pierce, who might get paid by the Colts. If not, he'll get paid by somebody else, a big chunk of change. Guys like Rashid Shaheed, Wan'Dale Robinson. I really like Jalen Naylor out there. I think he'll be a cheaper option for a team, maybe San Francisco. You can get maybe a veteran player like Christian Kirk, who can give you some speed and play slot and whatnot on the exterior. But I don't know about you, but I am kind of in the camp of, while I really love Jauan Jennings, I'm at the point where, like Deebo Samuel a couple years ago, like Brandon Ayuk now for different reasons, like Dre Greenlaw, I do think it's time to move past guys that are nearing the age of 28 that want big contracts. Let's move on, get some speed. A lot of people want to applaud John and Kyle for Jauan Jennings being a 7th-round draft pick and the development he had. Well, he was a 7th rounder. Like, you can find guys, an archetype like Jauan Jennings, a lot of places. And he had character concerns out of Tennessee, which made him drop. But I don't know. I just feel like the Niners and Jauan Jennings, for as great as it was, I do think it's time to part ways and just try to get more dynamic, whether it's, one of the guys in the draft or getting one of these speedsters on the free agent market right now.
I mean, he's such a competitive guy. I think I try to appeal to his competitiveness. I mean, I think they want to bring him back. Lynch said he's his favorite player. Shanahan said there's no player that he respects more. I mean, that doesn't sound like a guy who's not going to be here. I really think he'll be back. Maybe his price tag will get crazy, but I don't know. Our team's going to look at him. I mean, everybody's so 40 conscious. His 40's really, really not good. And, people are always saying, oh, well, you're a product of Shanahan, this and that. They could easily think that. I don't know what kind of market he's going to have. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think I would definitely want him back if I could get him back,
sure,
at 12 million,
of course, yes.
13 million, 15 million. I'm even willing to go to like 16 million, but that's where I'd draw the line right there. And if it gets beyond 16 million, then you just wish him well and say, hey, way to go. I mean, but the idea, the guy that I think makes a lot of sense, and Kyle Posey brought it up in Niners Nation online, is Romeo Doubs. I mean, the Niners, Doubs is 6'2". He turns 26 in April. He caught 55 balls last year, average depth of 12.9. He was a first down machine, 75 or 76.4% of his receptions move the chains. So those are good numbers. That's a JJ type player. Now there's drops here, there's injuries here. He wears the skull cap, so maybe there's concussion concerns. But Doubs at and they're saying here that Spot Track is saying about it would be like a roughly like 12 million or something like that. I mean, that's to me. I mean, he's not a superstar, but he is a well above average NFL receiver. I think in this offense with Purdy could be very, very productive. He went to Nevada, so he's lived out west. He probably wouldn't mind being west. That'd be my guess.
Do you think that where we would say the Niners can capitalize on the bad quarterback market, whether it's free agency or the draft, and capitalize on Mac Jones's trade value, would you say the inverse in a good way? The Niners can capitalize on a great, or what seems to be a great wide receiver class in the draft, and maybe some teams that would be paying for Jauan Jennings or Romeo Doubs or somebody else that we were expecting to get some big money in free agency, they may hold back and say, wait a minute, there's 13 guys that can go, in the first, 2 rounds or so. I'll hold off and bite my time, where San Francisco might be able to swoop in here and snag one of these guys that otherwise they wouldn't be able to most free agencies.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call. I was looking at Dane Brugler said that like there's like 17 wide receivers in his top 100 prospects in the draft. That's a lot of wide receivers. It really is. I mean, and then, there's a lot of busts there though. And it's a very difficult position to transition. That's why, to me, it seems like if you could get a Jordan Addison, I would do it. If I could get a Brian Thomas, I would do it. If I could make a trade for somebody who's having success in the league right now, I would do that. I love the young receiver, and I would definitely take a shot at one or two in the draft. But as far as banking on trying to compete next year, I mean, that's really where people are with this team. I mean, you're always going to want to compete for a Super Bowl. So if you go to a couple FCS receivers who have great potential, well, it could work out great, but it also could take 2 or 3 years. So you might want to look at, some guys. Seems like the guys, if you look at JSN and you look at who's really done well in the NFL, seems like the guys who are the most crisp and polished route runners, who have the combination of that and the ball skills, are the guys that really make it. Amon-Ra, and you think of some of the best receivers in football. It's, JSN. Is he the biggest guy? No. Is he the fastest guy? No. He's just a really quick guy, and he's a really smart receiver. He runs good routes.
Well, it kind of sounds like you're describing, maybe not to the heights of Amon-Ra St. Brown or JSN. Like, I think they did, or maybe still do, view Pearsall as that type of player, right? Crisp route runner. Maybe isn't the biggest guy. Maybe isn't the fastest guy, but the hope, the expectation was first round draft pick. We get our guy here, great route runner. Obviously, things haven't worked out for them, but I think you're right that should be the archetype they go for again. Maybe not to Pearsall's height and build, but something along those lines of a JSN, which everyone wants JSN, but a receiver like that, where it's somebody who maybe isn't the fastest, maybe doesn't test insanely well, aren't an amazing athlete, but they're fluid with their hips. They can change directions, in snap of a finger, and they can just get open on a continual basis. I think that is what San Francisco needs. You saw against Seattle in the playoffs and previous games as well. Like, nobody can get open all year. It's a bunch of contested throws. It's pretty high point things to hope Jauan can come down with the catch, and that needs to change, right? You saw this team in 2019 and 2021 and 22 and 23. You benefit from having somebody like Brandon Ayuk out there, Emmanuel Sanders out there, guys that can get open, and they don't have that now. So I think you're right that moving on from Jauan, if he's too high priced, or you can look at a first round receiver, but it has to be the right guy. You can't just pick one because you gotta have one. You have to find the right guy, and there's many of them out there, thankfully, this year. But I think a lot of people have their sights, kind of set on Omar Cooper from Indiana, but he may go top 15 for all we know, which would suck for San Francisco, but still.
Yeah. In fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a quick mock right here. Instant mock. We weren't even thinking about it, but we're just going to bust it out. And we're just going to see how many of the Niner needs can we fill in the draft. And you and I have done these before, right? We have, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
More than one. Okay. Okay. No, that's not it. Wrong page. Try it again. Hold on. Everybody just hold their horses, relax.
Enjoy my Dexter's death room scenery behind me.
Sit down.
As my room is, my house is destroyed.
Grab yourself a freaking sarsaparilla.
Play the gong sound. We're changing the conversation.
Wait a second. Yeah, wait a second. I get so many things I gotta do.
Where's the producer?
Where's Kev? He's partying in Mexico. He is. He's partying in Mexico. Yes. If you just heard that, you realize that we are transitioning now to a mock draft. That is our mock draft sounder.
There is no draft chime. It's the draft gong from now on.
We're switching topics. Yeah. it's
Man.
awesome. It's a great. We're really amusing ourselves. I mean, it's better than the other alternatives. The other ones we have are this. That's not good. We got this.
Oh, all right. It's like we're in a rave.
What the heck is that?
Heartbeat? Is that what that is?
No, is this an ultrasound?
It's a medical drama now on YouTube. The Krug Show has totally changed.
You only have a couple seconds to answer the question.
My wife has been watching too much Chicago Med. Put him in Baghdad real quick. Come on, guys. Get the ventilator out.
What's a good use of this sound?
Oh my gosh. There isn't one really.
There really isn't one. Okay. We got this, of course. Oh, I know we use that when you come in. We can't steal that. We got this one. Hey.
I like that.
Do you like that?
Okay, yeah.
Wait a second. That definitely that's what has
the Hawaiian bongos going. I like that.
That's more inclusive. This is a more inclusive. Than this.
I hope the gong's not offensive to anybody because we're just hammering it over and over again.
To me, I don't.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be offensive. It says here more sounds. Got it. Do I dare press that? Oh my God.
Why not? We're already
more sounds. More sounds. Okay. Let me see.
So it's like a missile? What is that?
That was really bad. Well, we got that. Let's see. Let's go down the list. This might be good. Can we add this? There we go. Oh God, no. Now I've gotten myself into bad screens. I'm all over the place. I'm in the back room somewhere.
Streamline it. Got to streamline it back.
Rescue. How do I escape? Where's the escape hatch?
Got to hit the last button on the remote.
Cancel, program, back to program. There we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the mock draft. We're going to see how many of these needs we can hammer out for the Niners right away. Here we go. 7 rounds. There we go. Fast, yes. Do I have the Niners marked? Yes, I do.
Are there trades?
There are trades. Okay. We can do anything we want. That's the beauty of this mock draft.
Mac Jones, you're out of here.
I don't know if we can trade Mac Jones, but we could look back at the draft at a second round pick from a team and say we could take a player from there as well. But let's just do it. Here we go. Firing away. Mendoza. Did Mendoza not go 1 in this thing? Wait a second. I gotta check that again.
It's already cracked.
Let me see this.
He
did.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Want to make sure.
That would have been bad if all of a sudden. All right, so here we are, pick 27, and let's see who's on the board. All right, so here's who's on the board. C.J. Allen, Denzel Boston. Do I want to go receiver? Lee Hunter, big defensive tackle. The big offensive tackle from Arizona State.
That's intriguing.
I love A.J. Halsey, the safety from LSU. He's a great thumper of a safety. And I love this Anthony Hill. To me, he's very solid. Very solid. You know what? Who's the best 49er defender right now?
When healthy?
Yeah. Well, I mean, young 49er. I would say it's Upton Stout on the back end. I think D'Angelo Pons is like an Upton Stout. I really do.
I love D'Angelo Pons.
Now, but let's see. Let's check the trades because we can move back a couple spots. 22 to 45. No, we were going to miss out there. 22 to 60. No, we're going to miss out there. All right. So no trades. All right. So I think I'm going D'Angelo Pons.
Really? In the first round?
I love the corner. I mean, I know he's a little high. But look at your options here. C.J. Allen, I really like, but there's really good linebackers later. And I don't have to, to me, the next pick could be a linebacker. Lee
where are you
Hunter.
playing? Where are you playing D'Angelo Pons if he's taken now at 27?
I'm
Because you're not
sorry.
playing over Stout.
No, he's playing over Renardo Green, who I'm pretty sure they're going to trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think
Wow.
so. I would go Pons. I mean, in one of my themes is going to be I like Indiana's program.
Sure.
Though I could go. God, I'm looking further down. You know what? There's Zion Young right there. Oof.
Long arms. That's long arms.
There's Cassius Howell right there. He's really good too. Gosh, now I'm looking at it. Okay, you know what?
Is this a what we would do or what we think the Niners will do?
No, we're just going to try to fill as many of their needs as possible.
Okay. Okay.
So my concern, as I told you off the start, is that we're going to be staring at JSN and Justin Jefferson. And so I've now gone from you better get the best players on the perimeter. And I love this kid Pons. To me, he's a lock. He's running in the 4-3s. He's a great player. The Niners can no longer swing and miss on, we needed a certain position or whatever. You got to go for the safest for sure, especially the Niners right now. They're missing a lot early. You cannot miss. This guy's not going to miss. This guy's a for sure. He's a great athlete. He's a great player. He's just a little short, but he's a tenacious player. I'm going D'Angelo Pons.
What right there made you not want to take Emmanuel Warren out of Toledo as a safety?
I just think that there's some to me. There's some we haven't seen him run yet, and I have some concerns about what that 40 time is going to be, and so I think that 40 time is going to make him a good prospect, but not an elite prospect. If he runs an incredible 40, if he's like one of these 4-3 guys, I think then, yeah. If he's like, to me, like there's a couple guys I'm really looking forward to see where they run at safety. One of them is Jalen Kilgore, who went to the same school as Mickey Manwari.
Kilgore is South Carolina, right?
South Carolina. He's 219 pounds, and you can tell he's got some explosive movement. So, I mean, he might run really fast. And he's a thumper at 220. And then this AJ Halsey from LSU, who transferred from Houston, he's like a big physical, hard-hitting safety like from yesteryear. He's like a Ronnie Lott. All right, let's see who's left. Now we're in here. Here's what I'm going with here. This is stacking exactly the way I thought it was going to stack. Dieter in a stream turned me on to Josiah Trotter, and I'd forgotten to watch Trotter. I just didn't see a lot of Trotter, but I love Trotter. Love Trotter. I mean, the movement ability, he's at 240. He's another this guy's going to absolutely plug and play linebacker right away. I mean,
you are doing what the Niners hate to do. Draft a nickelback in the first round and go linebacker in round number 2.
I know. But I'm just going to collect really good players, and we'll see where this goes. Okay. Now, this is like the part of the draft where I think the Niners ought to consider all the move back potential. This is where I think you can be, you get out of the first, couple picks, and then let's see what, like something like this.
Oh,
well, I'd want more. I want to get more volume out of this draft. So this is not more volume. This is just moving back. That's moving back a lot too. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
So we'll reject that. And let's counter this with the Seahawks, because that's only a couple spots, but I like that. But let's demand their next pick as well. Let's see what happens. No. Okay. They said no. All right. So now we'll go back to the board here. We'll see who's on the board. What other needs do they have? We haven't filled a lot of them, but I don't want to. Here we go. I like Keelan Rutledge quite a bit, and I like Brian Parker. This is where you're going to start to build up your offensive line. And Parker's a brawler, tough guy, and Rutledge has a wrestling background, had a really good career at Georgia Tech. He's 320 pounds. I think Rutledge is kind of a plug and play left guard, but I also said I like Allegretti, so I don't have to go guard here. But if you're really trying to bolster, if you really want to kiss goodbye to Brendel, this is your opportunity right here, because you got Brian Parker you could plug in right there at center. The other, depending what you want to build, this Chandler Rivers is a total dog corner for Duke. I mean, this kid is a tremendous corner. He's hyperactive. He's really good. If you're looking for another corner to shut down these receivers, looking, Bud Clark also is a very good safety. Harold Perkins, a very fast linebacker. I like him a lot. The LSU guys, this receiver I like a lot too, Kevin Coleman. He's a burner.
Oh yeah, we know Kevin Coleman over here, being an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think? I mean, what's that they've so far we've filled the need of a corner and a linebacker. Do you go offensive line here?
Just out of curiosity, where do they have Bo Stevens from Iowa, like ranked in their prospects?
113.
Ooh, I might go Bo Stevens here. Iowa runs the wide nine, or the wide nine, the wide zone, excuse me. He can play left guard, started a lot for them the last 3 seasons. Funny enough, I think he took Connor Colby's job this year as the left guard, or he played left guard. Colby played right guard last year for Iowa.
I like that. All right. And now we're up again. So yeah, and I like him. He's another guy with the wrestling background. He can play center. He can play guard. He pancakes guys. This is a guy who's really good. I think Stevens is a guy. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be a guy that I think has a nice long NFL career. That's a good one right there. So we've got the linebacker. Now we still need D line, D tackle, D ed, defensive or edge guys.
Are we operating under the thought that the Niners have addressed wide receiver in free agency? Like they've signed Jauan Jennings back and they want to add a speedster, or
I'm kind of pushing away from the wide receivers because to me, my theory is that Niners want to be winners next year. And I like a lot of receivers in this draft.
Sure.
But, and I'm definitely going to wind up taking one here for sure. Maybe two. But I think I still think you got to, I'm not saying Brock Purdy can make anybody look good, but I think they can do it with a lot of different receivers. I think they got to really build up the rest of this team. I think they got to build up this team. I mean, I think you got to have speed and you got to build up this rushing attack. I think you got to have a runner here. So there's all kinds of. Let me see the all.
Are you worried about George Kittle's health, and would you focus on taking a tight end in the first 3 rounds this year?
Yeah, there's a few that I think are really intriguing, guys that I would probably look at right here. Marlon Klein is the guy that I kind of like. And there's this guy right here for Houston, Tanner Koziol. He definitely big hands. Good hands. Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt. He's got really good hands. Kind of Roush from Stanford's got kind of crappy hands, but he's big. He's like 260 and he can move people. Hibner and Maryland for SMU were a great tandem. They're both in this draft. I like Maryland more. Let me see further down this list. I guess there he is, RJ Maryland. I really like RJ Maryland quite a bit. But I think you got to look in the defense. This Landon, I like Zane Durant. That's what I like.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Zane Durant's good.
Zane Durant, I think, is exactly what the Niners need. They need. If you look at this, I mean, they have Collins and they have West, but they need that interior guy that's fast and sacks the quarterback. And that's this guy, Zane Durant from Penn State. He's 290 pounds, but he's fast, and he's well coached. He's plays with leverage. He's really powerful at that weight. I love this Landon Robinson, by the way, for Navy, who's really 6'1", 290. He's all. They're both in that same kind of range, kind of squatty guys that can really rush the passer. But Durant's a little bit more athletic, I think, than Robinson. So then I'm going there. Let's see all. So we've got now the pass rushing tackle. We got the interior offensive line. We've got a linebacker who we know is going to make plays. We got a really good corner. All right, now what?
Do you edge here, you think? I know we don't want to go, position by position, but
I'll tell you what, the guy, to me, I'm looking for just special players that I think are going to be special pros. I like this guy from Indiana, Kalen Black. To me, Kalen Black is going to be a very good NFL back. And you've got a guy who's got really strong legs. He's really crisp. He doesn't fumble. He pushes the pile. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Emmitt Smith. He's really tough and he's high character. I love Kalen Black. I think he's going to be a tremendous back, and he'd be a great compliment to McCaffrey. Now, some people would say that's a reach because it's a running back. Now, a lot of Niner fans would be, oh, not another running back. But to me, he's a special player.
We're very jaded at the mid-round running back at this point in time.
Let's move down the list. Now, there's Kyle Lewis, another linebacker. I think he's really intriguing from Pittsburgh.
What do you think of Nick Singleton?
This guy from Auburn is a tremendous edge rusher. K'Ron Crawford.
Okay.
Really great edge rusher. I mean, he's a little on the light side, but man, he's good. Malachi Fields is a receiver that's got size. I don't think he's going to run a great 40, and maybe they need somebody who's faster. This guy, Nadame Tucker for Western Michigan, had piled up a ton of sacks. But what position do you think is – because now we need to start looking at the position groups.
Let me ask you this. What do you make of the Niners edge rushing room? I know we're not near the premier talent in the draft right now, but you have Bosa. You like Michael enough on the edge to move him on the inside as your interior pass rusher on third downs. You're going to have Bryce Huff back for another year, but behind those guys, it's like Sam Okawanu if he comes back as an RFA, and maybe you get some depth behind them. Like, do you view this as they need to find the next, premier edge opposite Bosa, or are you saying just add some depth while you have Huff in the building?
No, I think you got to go. I think right now, to me, the edge rushers in your defense are like your teeth. That and your linebackers are like the teeth of your defense. These guys attack. So I think it's important that you have, guys like this, and to me, this is where you would start to look for them. Crawford is such a great athlete. I love him. Tyreek Sapp for Florida is a tremendous player too. He's kind of short arm, but the guy I would take is Kamara from Indiana. And I know he's only 6 feet, but he's 6 feet 260. He's really bendy. He's really special. He blocked a punt in the Natty. I don't know if you saw that, but he's a really special guy. As you can see, I'm featuring Indiana guys.
It's the same thing they did last year too with Weston Rourke. Like, they want winners on that defense.
No question.
You got two of them.
He's special. To me, he's real special. All right, so now let's go back. Now I'm thinking best available. Who that's interesting at a position of need. Looking down this list, I don't know if you see anybody that you like. Tyreek Sapp, but we just went defensive end. Cole Payton, the quarterback's interesting. Rayshon Benny is interesting from Michigan, the defensive tackle. He's pretty good.
You can never have too many defensive tackles, in my opinion. The more the merrier there. Yeah,
Rayshon Benny might be the guy, but I do like a couple of Dave. There's
Deion Burks, Oklahoma.
Oh, Deion Burks. Yeah, so no receiver yet. Let's take a look. Deion Burks will make us look at the receivers. Who's there? All right. Chase Roberts from BYU. Yeah, Deion Burks is one of my favorite guys there. Stribling's not bad from Ole Miss. Reggie Virgil is a good player. He definitely had a good all-star game. There's got to be somebody down. I really like Dylan Bell for Georgia, but he's way down the list. Yeah, you know what? I think Deion Burks might be a good call right here because you're right. He's quite a bit better than some of these other guys. We'll go Deion Burks. There we go. Deion Burks, a 5'10" receiver, played at Oklahoma. He was a star for John Mateer. He's very productive receiver. Very productive receiver. I like that one. Okay. Let's see. How many more picks do we have? Okay, we're picking right here in the 7th round, 247. Now it's just you just kind of look to see who fell. I'll say this. I like this guy right here, Barry and Brown. Another receiver, but man, he has got this guy's going to run 4.2 something. LSU receiver, big time home run hitter. I mean, this is the vertical threat of vertical threats. So what did we solve here? We got a corner in D'Angelo Pons. We got a really good linebacker in Josiah Trotter. We got our starting left guard in Bo Stevens. You got your third defensive tackle in Zane Durant. You got a really good running back to pair with CMC in Kalen Black. You got another edge rusher. Give you a little teeth. And then you got a couple receivers, Deion Burks and Barry and Brown. I think that's a hell of a draft. I mean, seriously, if you did that draft now, if you look at that, you still like what haven't you taken care of? You don't have your tackle of the future. You don't have a tight end. You don't have. You were looking for multiple linebackers. You got one. You didn't get a safety. So, I mean, what that tells me is that the 49ers probably need to trade back and get a few more picks, because in this mock, they have 8 picks, and I would say they need minimum to really fill their needs 12 picks.
Interesting. I think if they traded Mac Jones for a second or a high-end third, because that's probably the best value you're going to get from him, you'd walk into the draft with, 9 draft picks. You'd have 27. Maybe you get 58, or maybe you get one in the 40s, or if you get really lucky, a high-end 30. I don't think will happen, but still. I think if you walk in with, 4 picks in the top 100, you're in a pretty good spot if you're San Francisco. And then obviously at free agency, they can have, $58 million in cap space to spend. I do want to ask you one question, though. We've talked a lot about, the tackle spot during the year and how Trent in his future. I am, and I have been this way for a while, I don't think San Francisco views tackle as a need at all. I don't think tackle. Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't think they view offensive tackle, whether it's left or right with McKivitz and Trent. I think they view those two guys as cemented starters. I don't think they're going to go ahead and take one and sit one. And you can even make the argument that while it'd be smart in a future sense of sitting a guy for a year behind Trent to learn from a future Hall of Famer, you could almost be wasting a pick to kind of push yourself into the future, whether it's a receiver or a safety or a cornerback or a defensive tackle, whoever it may be. Like, I think fans would almost be upset if they drafted a tackle and sat him for a full year.
Yeah, it's a good point. And also, I don't think that's the best use of your draft capital because you're trying to win. I mean, how good? I mean, let's say you draft Jennings Dunker and you think he's your future right tackle. Okay, great. What if he doesn't play a snap all year? And then all of a sudden you're sitting there going, well, wait, because offensive linemen don't rotate. See, your backup defensive linemen do play. Your backup offensive linemen play if there's injuries. But eventually you got to build your line of the future. I do think it's important for them to look for, there's a couple guys in this draft. Auburn has a guard named Wright. I think his name's maybe Jeremiah Wright or something like that. And he's just a 350-pound house. The Niners have got to build a fortress around Purdy. Build him, give him a couple of really wide, broad offensive linemen. I know they want speed. I know that they're outside zone. I get it. They want to run off the ball. They're looking for speed. I get it. So you can't have guys who are just total no speed at all. But it would be nice if they could find a road grader who is really a powerhouse, broad guy that was, really wide body. Because this kid Wright is 350 pounds for Auburn. And, man, looking at him, it's like, wow, this guy is just he's so wide. I mean, there's no way you could get around this guy. He's a tremendous road grader. And Auburn, Auburn's produced some really good offensive linemen through time. Steve Wallace, former Niner, won Super Bowl, last Niner Super Bowl left tackle was Steve Wallace. He went to Auburn. So it's, that's a player to look at for sure. I brought up the full mock here because I figured let's take a look at the second round, because you might be able to move Mac Jones for a second round pick. So let's take a look at the second round. The Jets have, as you can tell here, 2 picks in the second round.
Yeah.
If I were the Niners, the real hardcore, I mean, they're the freaking Jets. You could. I mean, if I'm the Niners, I want both those picks. That's what I would say. That's what I would say. I would say, hey, I want both those picks, and they would say, no. It's like, oh, okay. You know what? You're right. Go with what you got. There is no. You're the Jets. You don't have Fernando Mendoza. So unless you're gonna somehow wind up with Ty Simpson, and is Ty Simpson gonna be great? Is he gonna be better than Mac Jones? So I don't know. If I'm the Jets, especially, Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler as a rookie in New England. He's found himself. I don't know. If I were the Niners, though, if you got those 2 picks, now you've got 2 more bites of the apple in the second round. Who would you go with? Looking at the rest.
Honestly, I think I'd be just happy with having pick 44 if I'm being honest, of getting another pick inside the top 50. You look at guys that are picked after
44, that. Yeah. Who would you want? That came after that. Zion Young. Yeah, I mean, go Zion Young right there.
Whether it's Young or say you want to have your Jauan Jennings replacement, Elijah Surratt's right there from Indiana. Omar Cooper, bless you, is on the board. He goes to the Patriot or goes to the Steelers. Like there's a lot of good receivers and good players that
Emmett Johnson, the running back for Nebraska, he's a hell of a player. Omar Cooper, the receiver from Indiana, he's a hell of a player.
Like I do believe that if there is a team, whether it's maybe it's the Vikings, maybe it's the Jets, but you're hoping Daniel Jones goes back to the Colts. That feels like it's a lock. There really isn't, outside of Malik Willis, who I think goes with the Dolphins, any other true quarterback that you believe can start for you. And I think Mac Jones, if you go to the Jets or even the Vikings at 49, like getting that other second round draft pick to me is what you're holding out hope for this offseason if you are John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Because it puts you in a great spot there, middle of the second round. You can either trade up in that round to get a guy earlier, or you can trade back if you want to get more picks. Like, I think almost trading Mac Jones away and trading back could also help you. Like you mentioned, wanting 12 draft picks to fill all your needs. That could be an option as well.
No doubt. It is interesting looking at these prospects in the second round. Those are, and then let's take a look at the third round, because all of these guys would be available to them as well. We're talking about Jennings, Dunker, Thieneman, the safety from Oregon, they project in the third round. Darrell Jackson, the gigantic Florida State defensive tackle. Guy's got 35-inch arms and 11-inch hands, and he's 330 pounds, and he's fast. I mean, have you seen that guy? I mean, he's an absolute freak. Skylar Bell, the wide receiver from Connecticut, is a really, really interesting prospect. A lot of good players here. Jonah Coleman, the little short running back for the University of Washington Huskies, he's got some exciting ability. So there's a lot of interesting players. Ted Hurst, I think, is going to be a steal out of Georgia State. They've got him going in the third round. So a lot of interesting players. The third round, there's going to be, I mentioned Jalen Kilgore before. There he is in the third round. Gabe Yakus from Illinois, there in the third round. Malachi Lawrence from Central Florida, great pass rusher. Jadarian Price, the Notre Dame running back. Torian York, the A&M linebacker. He's 5'11", 230, but he's really, really talented. So a lot of interesting. Keelan Rutledge, the Georgia Tech guard, I think is kind of a plug-and-play player. You could take him. They have the Steelers. Wow, the Steelers getting Rutledge would be incredible. But anyway, just kind of interesting stuff. Overall, I think, I kind of like my draft. I think it's foolproof. I think it's hit and hit and hit. I got a lot of speed. We got a couple receivers. We got a some guys, some D-line help and Durant and Kamara, some secondary help, maybe just in case they get Jefferson and JSN. You got to have the big time corner. I feel pretty good about that. But Matt Barrows had a free agent idea in his mailbag this week that I thought was really outstanding and would fit the Niners really well. And that was, he was saying that a lot of talk that the Packers, who obviously have Micah Parsons now, are not going to either cut Rashawn Gary, and he's got big money coming to him, and he's 20 whatever it is, 27 million or whatever it is on the year, and they're going to make him a cap casualty. You know what, Rashawn Gary, for all the talk about Max Crosby, and Max Crosby would be awesome. Don't get me wrong. When I think about all the different potential guys, Trey Hendrickson, what you could get, Trey Hendrickson in free agency. Rashawn Gary might be a better option. He's a big guy. He's young. He's 280 pounds. The Niners like those big edge setters. He would be an amazing edge setter. I think he would enable Mikel to play a lot more snaps inside. And then I think you really got something, because now you've got Bosa, and preferably you still have Huff. And now you've got Mikel in his second year inside more as a rusher. And then you've got Rashawn Gary, who's also 280. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're now putting out a very large defensive front. And then with the 5-man front potential with Bryce Huff, I think they could have a much more dangerous line than they currently have. So I like Rashawn Gary. I mean, he's not, he has never quite ever really fulfilled the potential that he's always had. He's 285 pounds and fast, but he had 7.5 sacks last year and a bunch of pressures. I think over 20 quarterback hits. So, he would have led the Niners for sure. What do you think, Rashawn Gary?
Yeah, he's somebody you would expect playing next to Bosa and playing in a rotation if it does come to fruition with Mikel and Bryce Huff. You can probably maximize him, keep him fresh throughout the entire year. My only concern with Gary would be the market value of, if you're San Francisco, are you want to paying, or do you want to pay a premium for a player like him? And I don't think he'll get too expensive, but he is one of the bigger names out there at the edge position. I could honestly see San Francisco looking at Gary and saying, nope, too expensive, even if we want to bring you in, and just pivoting to Kwity Paye from the Colts, who they're built not the same, but there are similarities there in regards to size, and is probably going to be a quarter of the price. Former first-round draft pick of the Colts a couple years ago. Never really has done much out there in Indianapolis. And I think when you have Kosaric in the building, I think there is the utmost confidence, maybe blindly at times, similar to that of Chris Forrester, of our interior offensive line and defensive line coaches can get anybody to play good football. And I think that has blinded them at times to getting good players. But you have Keon White, you have Mikel, and I think, it'll be interesting to see what San Francisco's game plan is, because having a player like Gary, I do wonder, is he a player in your eyes that would actually accept being part of a heavy rotation with Huff, where you aren't on the field on third downs? Maybe you are being spelled, by a sophomore player like Micah Williams. Do you think Gary'd want that after playing across from Parsons last year, or do you think, he'd sign up to be part of a 4-man rotation in San Francisco?
I think Chris would have to sell him on the idea of he's going to play a lot. I'm sure. I mean, I that's the way I see it. I would play to this guy's, the idea of, hey, look, anybody who plays opposite Nick is going to run into some sacks. And let's be honest, you're at a point now where you're looking to have a big statistical sack season, maybe win and get that one big payday on the way out. And he's only going to get it if he has a big sack season. Well, your chances of having a big sack season in a wide 9 opposite Nick are pretty good. So the line's going to tilt towards him a lot. and you're going to get some one-on-ones. And heck, if you can do it, you can do it, and it's like, if that's what I would say to him. Hey man, if you think you can do it here, because you're going to get one-on-ones. So, and then also just the idea, the guy's been in a really good organization. Hey, I'm sure you've enjoyed being in a good organization. This is a really good organization. And Chris is a phenomenal coach. He's really popular with his players. But I think just when you think about what like Crosby would cost, what Hendrickson would cost, and then what Rashawn Gary would cost, and then realistically what all three of them would contribute, I think Gary's the best play.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that kind of holds me back is just the price tag. I think Gary's a good player. I think he's a really good number 2 edge rusher that can play for 3 downs. And San Francisco hasn't had that basically ever with Kyle Shanahan and Nick Bosa on the team and coaching them. Like I said, I think the price tag may draw San Francisco away from him, but it could pivot them to other guys like, Boye Mafe from Seattle, and maybe pluck one of their players away. Again, I already mentioned Kwity Paye. Maybe they go for the tried and true, really old, albeit still productive, Danico Autry, who was in Houston the last couple of years. Michael Clemens was one of the noted trade pieces they wanted to get from the Jets. Maybe they bring him in. I don't know if they want to go big at edge, but it'd be really, really fun if they did, because then you'd sit back and say, oh, that can rival anybody's defensive line. And that's really scary. And you talk about how do you stop the Seahawks? We saw it very little this year, but it's getting interior pass rush on Sam Darnold. And how do you beat that really good Seattle interior offensive line? You got to be able to push through them. And I think having somebody like Gary across from Bosa with Michael inside and Collins on the inside would definitely be a big step forward for them, certainly.
Well, I mean, beyond the Niners' needs, just watching, to me, you can always learn a lot from watching football when you change your vantage point, right? You learn a lot when you're watching it on the field. You learn a lot when you're watching it from above. You learn a lot when you watch the TV copy. You learn a lot when you watch the condensed TV copy. You learn a lot when you put on the all 22. You learn more if you watch it from the end zone and the sideline wide. Your perspective always gives you a different vibe on the thing, right? One other area where we get a great perspective, I just saw last night, which is the mic'd up, we get the live mic of the Super Bowl, right? And then you get a feeling of the personalities and the dialogue and the community and what these teams actually are, right? Because you can hear the players and you can hear the coaches and you can hear the personalities and who says what to who, and you can see the whole thing. And it's all organic, obviously, because they're competing in the Super Bowl. They don't care about the cameras. It's the one time you get live mic, and it's like, you're getting authentic stuff because it's the Super Bowl. They're not worried about the microphones, right? So they don't show it to you until week after. It's all edited. So if you said anything really heinous, they're not going to put it in the video. So that. Anyway, I'm watching this thing, and the one thing that came across is that Seattle's got a bunch of really, really good back seven players with a lot of speed and a lot of swagger. And they just got they got a lot of dudes who can really run and hit and tackle and are physical. It's a very fast, violent defense. And they just got a bunch of dudes. And it's like the Niners have got to match that. You're going to have to match that athleticism. You're going to have to match that swagger. You're going to have to get that level of speed. You're not going to be able – right now they have so much speed on the second level that they can snuff you out. And they're also more physical. So they've got these physical, super physical, fast defensive players, and you've got a really slow wide receiver core. And if you go watch that all 22, another vantage point on this thing, it would convince you that the 49ers will not ever win with these receivers. I mean, they should say goodbye to JJ. They should say goodbye to Bourne. They should say goodbye to basically everybody who played that game,
Yeah.
Because there was near zero separation from any Niner receiver. That was one of the worst receiving efforts I've ever seen from the 49ers in any era. It was terrible. they couldn't get away. So they need to be more dynamic on offense, more dynamic weapons, and then they need to have some real drive blocking blockers up front. They need some couple running backs with some real heart to go with Christian McCaffrey. And then on defense, they need a bunch of dogs. They need a bunch of speed and athletes, and these positionless football where what is Nick Emanwari? Well, you know what he is he's a safety who's not a really good cover guy. And they've turned him into a player that's like a borderline legend because they're playing him as like a strong side linebacker in their nickel and dime. And so they found this like role for really what everybody else looked at as like, hey, he's a super great testing safety who doesn't cover all that well. But now they found a way to put him at linebacker, and for a linebacker, he covers great.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like the Niners, in your eyes, have a lot to do.
They have a lot to do.
A lot to do. I know Kemba buries the lead here, and I think I would say they can, but do you think they can accomplish what they have to do in one offseason to take on a team like Seattle and be a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
It's going to take a combined effort of free agent signings and drafting and signing the right 2 or 3 undrafted players and making the right trade. They're going to have to, it is doable to fill a dozen needs in an offseason. But you're going to have to be resourceful. You're going to have to get lucky. You're going to have to be really, really good at evaluating. That's why I think my approach there in that draft is you got to remember this. Don't get involved in any kind of a draft situation without knowing the failure rate of the draft prospects. The reality is there's a lot of draft prospects that fail.
Yeah.
So the whole draft thing is about identifying false favorites and understanding why they're favorites. So it's like, what, this guy's a favorite because he's 40 time. This guy's a favorite because his, whatever, he looks the part. This guy's a favorite because he played on the Alabama. This guy's a favorite because, and there's reasons that these guys are favorites, but you got to be able to see through it and figure out if they're going to fail, why are they going to fail? And then try to, figure, kind of try to understand what's the likelihood of that. And then you start to really gravitate towards the safer prospects. And that's really, that's kind of what you want to take some great players, the Jahmyr Gibbses of the world. But, Detroit also took some very safe picks, Jack Campbell and Penei Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson. And they didn't get real wild. They went with, Brian Branch was a very, very productive player in college. So they went with some real productive players in college, and it's worked out. I mean, the tight end that they got is Laporta.
Yeah.
One of the best. He's like going back to high school. He's like one of the state of Illinois' greatest high school receiving tight ends ever, and was highly recruited going to college. So, I mean, it's like they did their homework. Brad Holmes did a really nice job. So Niners are just going to have to do their homework and make a bunch of good moves. But they're going to have to mix in free agents and trades because it's not as you can't really expect all rookies will go at their own pace. So some guys are going to be good in year 2. And the Niners have a couple guys like that this year. I think Nick Martin's going to be good. I think Jordan Watkins is going to be good. I really still believe that, but it didn't happen in year 1. So it didn't happen in year 1 for D. Winters. He didn't come out until like really his 3rd year did he start to kind of bust out. Jerry Rice dropped 20 balls or something like that his rookie year. I saw that this week. That was crazy. He dropped a ton of balls as a rookie, but obviously he seemed to rebound.
Let me ask you this, because I think the Niners will make one trade before the draft, or at least they should.
Okay.
Make one trade before the draft. And I don't think it'll be for the Justin Jeffersons, the Max Crosbys. I don't even think they're going to get Jordan Addison. I think the only trade they're going to make is trading away Mac Jones for a draft pick or 2, whatever it may be. But to some, that may sound conservative. Of you want to be willing and dealing left to right and trying to find your way. Be Howie Roseman, always open to moving off guys or moving picks to get the guy you truly want. If you were to talk to John Lynch and Kyle, I know you do via the press conferences and stuff, but if you can give them one tip or pointer of this is like how you need to operate this offseason, would you just say you want to make all your picks, you want to play a little more conservative, or are you saying, no, go be Howie Roseman, go be aggressive, make deals, trade up in the first round, in the second round, get the guy you believe is the BPA at that spot?
I would say
it's more nuanced than that for sure, but
yeah, I mean, I would say, last year you guys were 26th in undrafted free agent spending. Don't be 26th this year. Be in the top 5. That's the best market there is, the undrafted market. And then just it's all one process, right? You're preparing for the draft, and then there'll be players that you like you had projected in the 4th or 5th or 6th round that are going to be undrafted, and go make sure you have a big reservoir of money and spend that money. Why? Because those players could be as good as the 2nd or 3rd round picks. We've seen it here. Azeez Al-Shaair is as good as any linebacker. He was undrafted. Raheem Mostert, undrafted. Jeff Wilson, undrafted. Kevin Givens, undrafted. Brock Purdy, the last pick in the draft, almost undrafted. The Niners should learn that lesson. They were 26th last year, and they just kind of arbitrarily didn't spend. There's a lot of good players there, and you obviously are doing really well on day 3 of the draft. I mean, the one thing that's undeniable is that the 49ers have done really well on day 3 of the draft. I mean, that if you want to give them a compliment that's like real and true and honest, they're kicking ass on day 3 of the draft. They found Brock Purdy on day 3 of the draft. Go look at they found George Kittle, day 3 of the draft. They found lots and lots and lots of good players on day 3 of the draft. DJ Jones, day 3 of the draft. Jauan Jennings, day 3 of the draft. They just find a lot of guys in that area. So they're good at that. So what is the undrafted market? It's just the extension of day 3 of the draft. It's done after the draft. So it's like, if you got a good sense of those prospects, then spend the money there, spend an extra $10 million there. That's where you're going to find, a couple of really good players. And then they're going to be rookie players on rookie contracts that you're going to have. And that's what John Schneider's doing, by the way. John Schneider's hitting on his early picks, but then he's also finding guys late in the draft here or there. Not tons, but he's got a couple good ones every year. And I think that's a market the Niners have to swim in for sure. But I would say my advice to them would be, don't look back. Do not consider for even 1 minute Deebo, Greenlaw, Armstead, Hargrave, Mooney, any of these ex-Niners that you have great relationships with, that you love and they were great here and all this stuff. Do not look back. Do not get sentimental. Keep going. Look for every time you think you're going to look back for somebody, go watch more film of the next guy that's going to be like that. Because that's really what they need to do. They got to. Steve Young said it best on KMBR. He went on with Murph and Marcus. He's like, they got to find their guy who's ever going to be great next. It's not about one guy. It's about finding the next great stars.
Yeah, I think my question or my advice would be, find your identity. The Niners last year felt like on offense and defense, maybe the injuries played a big part of it, is find out who you are. Are you a run-first team because you weren't last year, because you couldn't last year? Are you a drop-back passing game? Okay, well, if you want to do that, you got to find the receivers that can get open for you on a continual basis. On defense, are you a aggressive front seven that wants to go get at the quarterback and go crazy? Or are you a team that wants to be a great coverage on your secondary? Like, they don't really have an identity on both sides of the ball right now. And now you have a new DC in place and that'll change and whatnot. But I think, especially offensively, I think you have to ask yourself, if for the 49ers, who are you? Because I think we all know who you want to be, but you can't be that right now. And so I think if you're John and Kyle going into the draft and going into free agency, it's like, we have we can at least have upwards of, $50 million to spend. And we have, a handful of nice draft picks to utilize. We have some guys we can trade away and get some more draft picks or players involved. And I think it's, how do you craft your identity as the 2026 San Francisco 49ers? Because the 25 team really didn't have one of those, which is, I think, a big detriment to the team, because Seattle has that and the Rams have that. Niners don't have that.
Quick shout out to our friends at Sleeper. That's right. You already know Sleeper for fantasy football and daily fantasy, but they've also rolled out something new called Team Picks. That's right. Team Picks. Team Picks is built right into the Sleeper app and lets you make simple predictions on game outcomes instead of worrying about player stats or seeing lineups. You're just choosing which team you think is going to win. It's real easy. It's designed to be straightforward and easy to understand, especially if you like following games closely but don't want to deal with all the extras and all the extra complexity. If you're already on Sleeper for fantasy, it's right there waiting for you. And if you're new, Sleeper continues to be an all-in-one platform for following your teams and staying connected to the action. So thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Steve Young stopped by. I mentioned that. Listen to this comment from Steve Young. I think Steve Young absolutely nails this. Here he is talking.
And that's why for us, I really want to make sure that we don't just, have a light retooling, like, oh, we were there, and if we just didn't get hurt, like we've got issues, and we've got to look them in the eye, and we've got to look for, another 5 or 6 or 7 guys to come out of the rookie contracts and be above average players. These guys have to grow into a place where they can be and go up to Seattle and play them with who they are today, and answer back and snap back. And we're going to need offensively. We're going to have to do all that as well. So I want a little humility from all of us to say, look, we did win 12, but we've got some work to do to get back there.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. It's honest. It's like, in other words, he's like, let's not delude ourselves into thinking that we're good. We're not good. Right? I mean, that's his point. There's work to be done. Lots of work to be done. So as long as I think the Niners, they should know that. As long as they realize there's lots of work to be done, I think my big thing is, don't get sentimental about yesteryear. We all love Armstead. We all love Greenlaw. We all love all these guys. Don't get sentimental. Be kind of cold. If you can find a good trade out there, go do it. Be aggressive. I want to see them be aggressive. I'd like to see them. I don't want to see them sign 9 mediocre free agents. I'd rather them sign like 2 really good free agents. Maybe 3. That would be it. Maybe a receiver, maybe a front 7 piece, something like that. Maybe a linebacker. But I want to see them add speed, and you can do it. I mean, Dieter and I were doing this exercise the other day, and one of the guys he picked up was Willie Gay, and Willie Gay, really does have a ton of speed and was good in Kansas City, and he's out there. He's a veteran, but like if you took him, put him on the right defense, and took advantage of the wheels that he has, we're talking about a 4.4 linebacker who's not old. And he's just out there because he's just out there. I mean, they're going to have to make some astute pickups. They're going to have to pick up some guys that wind up being better than you thought when they signed him initially. I think that's really clear. All right, we're turning for home. Couple of last thoughts. One of the things that we want to do is we want to thank our friends at Habas Law. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. In fact, all of our supers are brought to you now by our friends at Habas Law. That's right. 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. HabasLaw.com on the web. If you want to win, the insurance companies, you want somebody who's battled the insurance companies and won. And that's Omar and Tarek Habas and the entire Habas Law team. They're fantastic. So 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. HabasLaw.com on the web. The difference between success and failure in life is having the right attorney. And believe me, you want somebody. You don't really think about it when you're battling, in a lawsuit situation with insurance companies. all you really know is you want to win. I want to win. I want to win. These guys win. And so definitely give them a call. 1-800-INJURED. That's the only call you need to make. Everything else is secondary. They will fight to make it right. Habas Law. Thanks to Habas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. Let's hit some of our supers here. We've got this one from Man095. Larry, what are your thoughts about the Jed York interview at CNBC? I feel like the interviewer asked everything we've been wanting to know. You're talking about the guy, Alex Sherman, I think is the guy, right, who asked some tough questions. I mean, I think Jed should just not answer these questions about the substation because it's very technical and he doesn't really, he's just, there's okay. We see politicians go weeks without ever saying anything. You don't have to divulge anything. You can just be like, you know what? We're looking into it. And obviously our players are of the utmost concern. That's it. That's it. There is nothing more that needs to be said. I think that, the whole bringing up Jerry Rice. I mean, come on, Jed, come on. I mean, that is not the right move. But as far as Jed overall, I think Jed strikes the right chord. The 49ers treat their players like family. They do a lot of good things. Jed, I talked to George Kittle in the locker room, and he's like, man, I'm in the locker room. Jed's the first person down there, and he's getting me a bottle of tequila. And he's, I'm feeling like hell, and suddenly I'm feeling a little bit better. And, I think he really appreciated that. That Jed in his darkest moment, wasn't up in the suite. He was down there caring about, George and how George is doing. So I think Jed is growing into the role of great owner. It's not just about cutting the check. You have to set the tone. I'd love to see Jed be a little bit more cutthroat and just say, you know what? We're getting this done by hook or by crook. We're getting this done one way or another. I'd like to see, the one thing about Eddie D, there was some dysfunction to his expectation, and that's okay. You know what I mean? It's like they got it done. The bottom line is they got it done. Does anybody really care that Eddie D fired Walsh 3 times on the, in private rooms? No, they don't. They really don't. They care about those Super Bowl rings and that he walked the walk and his bottom line coincided with their bottom line. So I kind of would love to see Jed throw the gauntlet down on Shanahan and Lynch a little bit more and just be like, hey, look, get it done. It's been a decade. Let's go. Win me the title. Get me that ring. It's time. It's time. I'd like to see him be a little bit more. I believe in those guys too, but you know what? Let's go. It's year 10. As simple as that. It's not your birthright to win one of these. They're really hard to win. That's why they throw parades after they win. I'm not saying it's easy, but I want to see progress towards it. I want to see them get closer to the target, not further away. It feels after what? No, this year it's hard to gauge because of the injuries, but ultimately it's just you're not deep enough. That's why you need to trade back. That's why you need to resist the Max Crosby, Justin Jefferson ideas for the most part and try to trade back, accumulate more picks and build depth because it's football. Guys get hurt a ton, and bottom line is you can lose Bosa and Warner and McKell if you have Bosa, Warner, and McKell on the bench. There was a time a few years ago where they had Aziz and Greenlaw and Warner and others. So, it's like they just have to be better and deeper. We got this one. What does that say? You might have to read these for me. I've changed my prescription on my contacts, and the new ones are coming. So if you could read these for me, that'd be great.
Yeah, no worries. This is from Turner Freak 87, giving us $1.99. Thank you so much, Turner Freak. He says, you build the trenches, free agents at other positions. What do you think about that, Larry?
I like that. I don't think it's a rule. You know what I mean? Building the trench. I one thing about this is like, I believe in building in the trenches on the D line. I really do. But on the O line, like to me, if you could get a veteran, that's ready to play. Like, somebody was saying, hey, how about Joel Bitonio, who's been around the block, but I guess Shanahan might have been with the Browns when they drafted Bitonio. Bitonio's big and nasty and a veteran and solid. And yeah, I'd like to go with Joel Bitonio over just a really good rookie left guard prospect, because it's a bumpier ride. But I can, you need to eventually have good offensive linemen who are young as well. I think the Niners' belief is that the teams that draft offensive linemen early in the draft are usually then are forced to play those offensive linemen because of their draft status and draft position. And then those offensive linemen have bumps in the road, and then the team's picking up high once again. So I've heard them state that that's kind of their belief. So I wouldn't expect the Niners to go offensive line in the first round unless they traded back or maybe, traded back into the second round. I really don't expect them to go offensive line. I really don't. I think it will be something besides offensive line.
I think one name they could try to sign is John Simpson, who was the Jets left guard. He was really bad last year with Aaron Glenn, which they all were bad last year with Aaron Glenn, so I wouldn't put too much on that. But he was really good in 2024. He's a free agent this year. He can play left guard. He's run the wide zone. He's run the gap stuff. So I think if you're looking for a kind of cheaper left guard veteran guy, I would look at John Simpson from the Jets in free agency this year.
That's an interesting name. I saw him. I remember him at Clemson. Athletic guard for sure. Who do we got here? We've got this liquidate Bosa,
restructure Trent, etc. Get fresh. I'm assuming also get younger. Same guy, Turner Freak, another 199.
Yeah, I don't think, to me, from what I've read, it sounds like they may actually go for Joey Bosa.
It almost happened the last 2 years.
Yeah, I can kind of see Joey Bosa coming to the Niners. I really could. What do you get? What do you appreciate the sound?
The sounds, the gongs, all the recorded sounds we had earlier in the show.
Oh, we got someone who's a fan of the sounds. It's funny because we can go sounds all day. I mean, you want to go sounds, I can go sounds.
Hour and a half of sounds.
nothing but sound. Just sit here playing sound bites all day. No, we won't do that. We won't subject everybody to that.
Yeah, the time for the gong has passed.
But I could bust it out. I mean, I could out of nowhere.
It's on highway. Don't worry. Oh, the gong.
I like how it lingers too. Look how it really does linger. It's like a long cut.
Builds the atmosphere.
Yes, and the crowd's going crazy. Do you guys want me to finish up this stream pretty soon? Come on, are you sure? All right. There we go. Appreciate the sounds. We got to do more sounds. We got to work them in. It's got to be, got to make it work. I mean, it can't just be anything. But there you go. All right, what do we got here?
Alexander / McDonald R3G sends $9.99, and they say Niners couldn't run last year and panicked and bought Luke Farrell. He can't block. I think Kyle missed Charlie Warner. Any chance they can trade for him back? Maybe he could be a Falcons cap casualty. I, for one, am for cutting Luke Farrell, but Larry, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's just a swing and a miss. I mean, he to me, the tight end from Michigan in this draft, Marlon Klein, is a big powerhouse blocker and an underrated receiver. He reminds me a lot of the AJ Barner kid. Michigan is a factory, and I'd see if I could get Klein. I definitely, though, would move off of Farrell. I mean, to me, I would go try to find a big physical tight end like Bo Kircher for A&M is a good one on day 3. Also, go look at Russell Maryland, the former Cowboy. His son played at RJ, probably Russell Jr., I guess, played at SMU. And you're talking about a 240-pound tight end, but great receiver. I mean, really a great receiver. I mean, he is going to be an NFL receiving tight end. And he's a little light at 240, but he's not like he's 210. And 6'4", 240, super fast. RJ Maryland from SMU.
I would be interested to see if they cut Farrell. Would they sign somebody like Mo Alley Cox, who is a really good
Veteran.
blocker?
Yeah.
Been around for a long time with the Colts. I don't know what his market will be, but I don't think he'll be one of the high end paid tight ends. He's getting older. But for a year or two, like that's a pretty solid tight end 2 depth guy, if you ask me. But might be too expensive. Who knows?
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
We have it looks like Silent gives $199. They say draft the 3 biggest offensive linemen, 1 ton up front, and play smash mouth football.
Well, I mean, here's the bottom line: is you want the Niners to fire Chris Forster because the Niners don't play gap. They don't. I mean, they do a little bit of gap. They did it against the Falcons, but they're an outside zone team. Now they do a bunch of different things, so they could evolve and do whatever. But they're an outside zone team. They want their offense. I watch their offensive line practice every day. Chris Forster coaches these guys to sprint off the ball. They want guys who can move. So they'll take some big boys, but they better be able to move.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that I like, this kid from Auburn I was talking about before. This guy's Jeremiah Wright. He's 350 pounds. Now, I don't know if he's going to be sprinting off the ball, but he's overpowering at the point, man, and he can move Leonard Williams. And at some point, that's going to be needed too. So, but yeah, they're looking for guys who can run off the football, guys who are mobile. The Iowa offensive lineman in this draft, I think, would be perfect for the Niners. Jennings Dunker, Bo Stevens, Logan Hall, or Logan Smith, is it? The center for Iowa. There's 3 of them, basically. There's 3 offensive linemen all from Iowa. Iowa and the Niners run the same system.
Yep.
So I don't think they're going to – what they really need is not the biggest offensive lineman. People are like, oh, Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor is not their kind of guy at all. I mean, at all. He's 6'8" and 360 and, I mean, huge gut. They're looking for guys who can run off the football. So if you look at the numbers, if you really want to get a head up on who you think the Niners are going to look at receiver at offensive line, they like the 10-yard split. So whoever has the best 10-yard split at the combine, they really like Caleb Rogers, who went to the Raiders out of Texas Tech. He really could run. They really like Charles Grant because he was kind of a freak and he could run. They both went to the Raiders, cut right before the Niners picked. Expect the Niners to draft somebody who has an offensive lineman who has a great 10-yard split. Just check that at the end of the combine. Cross compare who has the best offensive lineman 10-yard splits, and my guess is they'll be interested in one of those guys.
I agree. Eric gives $199. Thank you so much, Eric. He says, why is Jed afraid to investigate the substation?
Well, I mean, first of all, they're just trying. I mean, he's just trying to make it go away. I don't think he's there. I don't think he thinks that the substation is really impacting things. The thing is that free agency, the players, you have to change. You got to fight this by putting out some kind of study or something. You got to diffuse this by having something more than, hey, Jerry stayed healthy. I mean, that's what he came out with. So he's just going to have to upgrade his game. My guess and my plan for him would be, I just don't talk about it. Let other people talk about it. Because you're not really going to ever add credibility to the situation. It's always going to seem like you're trying to divert or, so just come out, figure out a better PR approach to dealing with this than you talking about it.
Yeah, Jed really should lay off the Jerry Rice from 30 years ago. He was healthy. Come on, man.
I mean, even if it was totally true, and he wasn't healthy, but even if it was totally true, it's like, come on. I mean, that's not a high level response. It just is.
Remy gives $4.99. Thank you so much, Remy. He says Raiders trade the number 1 pick to the Jets or the Cardinals. They draft Reese or Bain. Trade for Mack, and Niners get the Raiders' 2nd and Michael Mayer. Thoughts? Scouts are doubting Mendoza at 1.
Well, I like the idea of Michael Mayer. coming to the Niners. I think that
Sure.
makes a lot of sense. I think Michael Mayer could really have a bust out to his career with Brock Purdy for sure. How that deal would work out. I mean, that sounds about the right price. If you said what's the right price for Mac Jones, I'd say Michael Mayer and a second round pick. That's what I would say. Before we get out of here, why don't we talk Mac Jones for just a second? Here are the teams that may need quarterbacks. Let's look at these quarterback situations. Pittsburgh, Dolphins, Jets, Vikings, Cardinals, Raiders, Falcons, Colts, and Browns. So let's go through those for a second. Colts have Daniel Jones. And I was saying maybe they'll trade for Mac Jones. And people were like, "Oh no, they're not going to do that. They have Daniel Jones." But Daniel Jones didn't tear his Achilles. I don't know. I mean, that's a weird situation there. Are they what are the Colts going to do? I mean, are the Colts just going to give up on the year because their quarterback's got an Achilles, or are they just going to try to get through it with Richardson and Riley Leonard until I mean, most people assume Jones is going to sign in Indy, but what do they do for this year? Will they look for another quarterback? I mean, I gotta think that the heat's got to be on Ballard. He just traded their number one pick away for a corner that got hurt. They didn't really finish strong. I mean, I gotta think Ballard's got to be feeling some pressure at some point.
You'd think so, but it does seem like they really do like Daniel Jones. He fits the offense with Steichen really well. They do like Leonard a lot. I think Richardson's a free agent, so he's probably not going to be back. But I can see them doing what they always do, right? They go sign Gardner Minshew or Jarrett Stidham for a year and have him and Leonard battle it out while Jones recovers. Maybe he comes back. I know it seemed more severe than what George Kittle's was. It happened earlier in the season. On top of that, so he might be back by week 1. I don't know, but it does seem like they're going to rock with Daniel Jones and pay him a pretty penny this offseason. So I think that kind of takes Mac Jones off the table for them, and they don't really have much to trade unless you're getting a player back who you like, which I don't know who they have the Niners would even want.
How about the Browns? Are they going Shador? I mean, they're acting like they're going Shador. They also have Deshaun Watson still sitting there. They also have Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a mess. What a mess their room is.
Yeah,
But I mean, are they going to stay with Shador? I mean, if not, maybe the Browns are going to be a trade team. And then, some of these other ones are pretty interesting. I mean, are the Raiders going to get cold feet about Mendoza, or are they just going to go with Mendoza? I wouldn't be surprised because there's a lot of time between now and draft day. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were like, "Hey, you know what? Arvell Reese is going to be a Pro Bowler." You know what I mean? We can trade for Mac Jones. Then there's the Falcons. Is that a statement that Michael Penix is no longer? Is he just too injured? Is that the deal? They're already giving up on him. They've got Kirk Cousins as well. There's the Cardinals, and it's funny. I had Todd Husak on Niners Nightly tonight. He was talking about what's going to happen with Kyler. That like maybe he would be a great reclamation project quarterback for the Niners, but I think Kyler is going to be a starter somewhere. Then you get the Vikings. What are the Vikings going to do? Are they going to trade for Mac Jones? And then there's the Jets, the Dolphins, the Steelers. Steelers are going to bring Rodgers back, right? Dolphins going to go Tua more, all these teams basically need quarterbacks. So somebody's going to come knocking for Mac Jones. If the Jets come, I want Garrett Wilson, which would be a tall ask. I mean, that'd be a high price.
Yeah, I think there's only really 2 suitors for Mac Jones because I think it's the Jets and the Vikings. I think the Vikings don't really have time to waste on having Brian Flores in the building. You have Kevin O'Connell there. You have Justin Jefferson in the building. I don't think they're in the business of waiting for teams like the Bears and the Lions and the Packers to get worse. I think they're in the win now window if they would admit that to themselves. And the Jets, I think, are not desperate, but Aaron Glenn is very well probably coaching for his job in the first month and a half of the season. They were terrible last year. I think Woody Johnson's a terrible owner for a lot of reasons. And I think that they're in a place where Aaron Glenn hiring Frank Reich, who runs kind of a West Coast style offense and I think is maybe one of the worst coaches in football calling offense at this point in time in 2025, 26. I think they can make some sense simply because they want to get somebody in the building that's not Justin Fields. That's not Tyrod Taylor. And I think putting Mac out there would actually make them somewhat, not good, but they'd be somewhat competent at the quarterback position. And if they can bring back Breece Hall or, they re-sign some of their guys, they're pretty far away. But I think for Aaron Glenn, it's about, I want to use my draft picks to fix this defense. And if I can do that and get a quarterback in the room that can, lift up some boats and kind of help our sales, I do think Mac Jones and the Jets could make some sense. But I also don't know if San Francisco wants to trade Mac to a team that probably wouldn't do him any good. Like, the Jets are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, are the 49ers say they don't want to move Mac Jones, but you almost get the feeling that that's just like what you say to try to tell people that you want a lot in return.
Yeah. Right. Posturing.
It's just posturing. Yeah, it's posturing. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Habislaw. And of course, thanks to you, Sterling. Have a great one. Sterling, go ahead and tell people, if they are not familiar with what you do, how they can follow you and where they can find you.
Yes, you can follow me on social media at 49ers_access. That is the X. 49ers.access is the Instagram, and I have the podcast on YouTube and the audio podcasting platforms like Spotify and Apple, simply titled 49ers Access. We are growing steadily. Got about 3,000 subscribers this month. So we're starting to grow, Larry, and that's a good thing. Probably because I'm on the Pig and a Pickle Krug show weekly. But we're having fun. We're having fun. Go there, like, subscribe, and everything. And Larry, as always, it's very fun to be on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody give Sterling a follow. He puts out great content, and he's a great guy to follow about Niners content and Niners information. So we'll do this again next week. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to all of you guys. I'm back with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're gonna have a quick turnaround with Damon Bruce. 10:45. We'll have Chase Senior. We'll do our regular Friday. Getting ready for the weekend, and then tomorrow night on Niners Nightly, Steph Sanchez is going to stop by. We'll talk a little off season with Steph Sanchez. So for Sterling, I'm Larry. Have a great night, everybody, or a great morning wherever you're at. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man